Afternoon, brothers and sisters. I thought I'd come on here and we'd talk a little bit more about the abomination that maketh desolate. That term desolate, I have been starting to understand it in a greater context, I guess. So I'm going to attempt to share it with you today. Thanks for any who does watch my videos. For those who have subscribed and who have handed on the videos, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. And for those who are really attempting to learn this new theology, if I have to cut the video off, I apologize for that. I'll just add on another video what I feel I need to. So I'll apologize beforehand if I have to cut it short. So I was looking at a lot of different passages actually, and this time I wrote every one of them down. Now whether that's actually going to make a difference in my presentation or not, I don't know. But we're going to attempt to explain this in such a way that maybe you'll understand. So first let's read this verse, Isaiah 49:5. Now I put my interpretation on this, and you should know many times I'll change the he to she. Alright? And that is based on my understanding of what the key of David truly is and who the daughter of Zion is. And as you continue on deeper in study and you begin to get a grip on the feminine, it gives you a much better rendering, a place where you can understand where the rendering does need to be changed. Okay? And they could say, oh, you can't do that. You can if you're led by the Spirit. If you're led by fallen theology and this well-crafted theology, then no, don't you dare. You keep on playing his harlot, because that's what that's designed to do. It's designed to keep women playing his harlot so that you can continue to water his vineyard with the polluted wine that he put to your lips so that he could make you drunk, so that he could make you his harlot. And that's our understanding of verses that I actually wrote under the last video. And I was going to actually read that comment. I may do it in another video that I posted under my last video and try to explain it in a better, greater understanding. So this is the verse that I was looking at, Isaiah 49:5. It says, "And now saith the Lord that formed me from her womb." It was mother's womb, all right? That formed this spirit, this daughter, Zion. No man can form you. Only mother can form you and can birth you. No man can do this. And this is Mother God who did this. "And now saith the Lord that formed me from her womb to be her servant." That's Israel, all right? And that represents the woman's seed, Eve, in the beginning, that would be blessed. She was set apart. And she had a nation that come of her that would represent her spirit, her word, all right, that the first Adam rejected. He received a covenant with the harlot spirit, all right? So this is our understanding once we continue to dig deeper and deeper into the theology. The Lord that formed me from her womb to be her servant, her daughter of Zion, Jerusalem, Israel, to bring Judah, not Jacob, but the man, back to her, so that Israel, that's the daughter, might be gathered. And those are the Psalms of Asaph. You'll find the covenant of the lilies of the gatherer, known as your spirit, in these Psalms of Asaph, so that Israel might be gathered to her. "For I am honored in the eyes," or in the sight, "of the Lord and my God." That's the spirit behind the daughter of Zion, or Mother Jerusalem, has been and is my strength. So you see, you get the son here and you get the daughter gathered, all right? And that's what we're going to take a deeper look at. So when we go deeper into another verse, the verse right behind this one, or right next to this one, says the land has to be made desolate so we can resurrect the body. That's what this means. This desolation of the land means that it has to be cleansed, right? And we're told that it's the fire of God that cleanses the land. And the fire of God that cleanses the land is the law of heaven. That cleanses the land, actually. But it is the abomination that maketh desolation, or that maketh desolate, that removes the wicked off the land. That's really what it leads to. Now, I'm going to try to explain this, because this is very hard to do. But it says the land has to be made desolate so we can resurrect the body. And that's by bringing forth our firstborn. As the daughters of Zion, we have been ordained to bring forth our firstborn. And those firstborn are children that we are promised to give life to. It says, you who have never travailed, right? And so we have never travailed. We as daughters have never travailed to bring forth our firstborn as we were to do. And you see her, why she never did bring forth her firstborn, you see her in Song of Songs 1:6. She says, my mother's children were angry with me. That's the sons that were angry with her. They did not want her over the vineyard. She says, I've been forced to keep his vineyard, but my own I have neglected. So she's getting ready here to actually bring forth her firstborn. So, but it says the land has to be made desolate. So here in Isaiah 49 verse 6 it says, and she, I'm going to say she said, it is not enough for you to be my servant, my daughter Zion, my Israel, Jerusalem, raising up the tribes of Israel and restoring the protected ones. So the protected ones here, when you get looking at the words, is 5336, and that word actually pops up in the notes as branch. All right, so it's the tribes of Israel and the restoring the protected ones, which is her daughters of Zion, which is the branch, which are the rulers of the nation of Israel. I will also make you a light for the nations, the Gentiles, that my salvation, or my deliverance of the children, may reach to the ends of the earth. All right, so we have it right there in context. And these protected ones are also the sealed ones that you find in Revelation 14. They're sealed. They have a seal on them, but they've been protected. And that word 5336 for preserved ones is going to lead you to 5341, which means to keep watch. These are your watchmen over the flock. But it also leads you to the sealed fountain in Song of Songs 4:12. Where else do we want to go with that? Okay, so I didn't put no notes in there. But keep watch is also where you're going to find, because that word 5336, preserved ones, is going to lead you to 5341, which means your watchers, your keepers, your protectors, which then is going to pull up another verse, because it's only found the one time. But it's going to pull you up Psalms 141 verse 3. All right? And this is what it says in Psalm 141 verse 3. It says this. It says, set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth, and keep the door of my lips. Now, that's a seal. All right? If you want to look at that and examine that, that's a seal. And you also see that in Song of Songs. That's where you find her. That's how we know who we're talking about. We're talking about the Spirit. But in Song of Songs, this is what it says. Song of Songs 4:12. I can find it here. I'll get there. Oh, I'll get there. Ecclesiastics. Song of Songs 4:12 says this. A garden enclosed is my sister, my spouse. A spring shut up. A fountain sealed. So you see all of these connecting through the words when you do your word study in that. It says also, when we continue on, it says to a servant of rulers. And that's what Israel is. She's Mother Zion's portion. That's what she's called from above. And she's given to man in covenant. Now, that's all in Isaiah 49 when you get looking at that. And she's called a servant of rulers. She is the daughter Zion. And you'll get her term in Deuteronomy 10, I think it's 17 or 18, verse 17 or 18, and she's called Lord of Lords. And the numbers there is 136 of 113. So she is a queen of kings. That's what her title is. All right? And those will argue. That's fine. You go ahead and argue. God says all of this is going to come about to show you the truth. All right? Isaiah 49:7. Thus saith the Lord, the Redeemer of Israel, and her Holy One, to her whom man despises. He did. He despised the righteous spirit. He did not want a covenant with her. To her whom the nations abhorreth. And they did. That's Song of Songs 1:6. They didn't want her keeper of the vineyard. They made her keep his vineyard. Her, the harlot's vineyard. She played the harlot. That's what she did. And we're told that in Isaiah 54, verse 4. Fear not, for thou shalt not be ashamed, neither be thou confounded. For thou shalt not be put to shame, for thou shalt forget the shame of thy youth, and shalt not remember the reproach of thy widowhood any more. This is for thy maker is thy husband? No, my husband didn't make me. My mother formed me in her womb. That's what she did. It's mother who is my creator. It is no man who created me. My mother formed me in her womb and gave life to me. All right? So there, she's not going to be ashamed of what she did in her youth, was that she became his harlot. That seems to be the teaching. And she became his harlot when he put the wine to her lips and made her drunk on his doctrine, and so that he could expose her nakedness, her shame, it says. She became his harlot. He made her his harlot by teaching her false doctrines, and then made her the keeper of the vineyards. Are we not understanding the allegories? It's all through scriptures. It's all there. Who the nations abhorreth, to a servant of rulers. That's what she was. She was a queen of kings. And you get that term, Lord of Lords, in Deuteronomy 10. That's what she was, 136 over 113. Kings shall see and arise. Princes also shall worship, because of the Lord that is faithful, and the Holy One of Israel, and she shall choose thee, because they've always been her inheritance, her portion, to inhabit. The mother spirit from above, she inhabits these daughters. This is her portion. She says, my glory, I will not give it to another. It belongs to my inheritance, to my daughters, who I've preserved, I have kept. I know them. I know who they are. That's what 49 verse 6 of Isaiah would have you understand. And they're sealed. She knows them. And they are a garden sealed, a fountain sealed. That is where the waters are found that will water the new garden after the land is made desolate. All right? So here we go. We'll keep going on here. Excuse me. My nose itches. The word preserved in Isaiah 49:6 also will in the note show you Psalm 141 verse 3, which is the word keep watch, 5341, which is what 5336 will lead you to in Isaiah 49 verse 6. So for anybody who wants to run that trail down, there it is. I wrote it right out so that if I screwed it up, it would be there. So Psalm 141 verse 3 says, set a guard. That's 5341. Is that a seal? I put a question. Over my mouth. Keep watch over the doors of my lips. The gatekeepers also in 5341, which is the branch, and 5336. All right? So he, the abomination that maketh desolate, because he upholds the harlot spirit, he hides her in his heart, which then leads to the man-made laws that makes the land desolate. All right, in the end. That's what this all leads us to. When we reject the laws of heaven, we end up with a desolate land. All right? That actually needs to be replanted by the law of heaven, which is given out by the daughters of Zion. Now, I speculated about the lightning. Lightning has the idea of quickness. All right? And I was looking at the time frame for this desolation to play out. Now, we're often told it's 7 years or 3.5 years, and that's our breakdown. But I've been speculating on that word lightning. Lightning means that it happens fast. These daughters are very fast in the way that it happens. And so 3.5 years from God's perspective, or even 7 years from God's perspective, would look like lightning. It's going to look like lightning. All right? Because though that time frame might be a horrid time frame for us and feel like eternity in many ways, if we're here suffering to bring about this great change that's got to happen in order to resurrect the new Adam, it's going to feel long term for us, though it's a very short period of time. And that may be our allegory to the lightning. You see, fire of heaven is the law of heaven. And this lightning is these daughters going forth. That's what that is. And the lightning alludes, like, again, I think, to the time frame. It's quick. And so in terminology of heaven, which is an eternity, 3.5 years or 7 years is a very short period of time. It's like lightning, and it's a blip. I'm sure when the heavenly beings are looking on, it's just a blip in the time frame, and it looks like lightning, I'm sure, to them. So that's one possibility of why it's the lightning, right? But I wrote this on he, the abomination that maketh desolate, the man-made law, that's fallen Adam and the harlot, causes death. That's what that does. It brings on war, it brings on hatred, it brings on desolation, right? The land to be made desolate, right? There is a huge loss of life when these man-made harlot enforced laws are imposed on the nations. And that seems to be what's coming about, a huge desolation. This is when she who has never travailed, and we get that allusion to this in Song of Songs in 1:6, all right, like we said before, and also in Isaiah 54 verse 1, goes forth and brings her firstborn into existence. Now that's Israel, all right? Because in Isaiah 27 it says, not in Isaiah 27, actually it's Isaiah 26. But Isaiah 27 tells us that Israel will once again fill the world with her fruit, all right? Her children will once again fill the world with her fruit. Now, I'm not explaining it well, but when you go in and you understand all of this, all right, which is poorly put at you, I know, but when you go in and you read Isaiah 49 and there's Isaiah 49, Isaiah 29, Isaiah 54, and you begin to understand certain verses as well as certain passages, you begin to understand what's getting ready to come out at us. And I wanted to read from Isaiah 49 verse 7. I said, "Thus saith the Lord, the Redeemer of Israel and her Holy One, to her whom man despises," that's the righteous spirit that he denied a covenant with, "to her whom the nations abhorreth," that was Israel, who was cast out into the fields of the Gentiles to bear the sins of what the harlot did, "to a servant of rulers," that's daughter Zion, over man, over a male ruler, "kings shall see and arise, princes also shall worship, because of the Lord that is faithful and the Holy One of Israel, and she shall choose thee." Now, I had here, we'll do it right now. I know I'm getting off track a little bit here. But I had read Psalm 142, and we'll read the whole thing right quick. It's not a long chapter. All right. "I cried unto the Lord with my voice. With my voice unto the Lord did I make my supplication." So this is Psalm 142, verse 1. Verse 2, "I poured out my complaint before her. I showed before her my trouble. When my spirit was overwhelmed within me, then thou knewest my path. In the way wherein I walked have they privily laid a snare for me." They laid a snare in the path that I walked in, hoping I'd fall into it, and we did. We started to play the harlot. We started to tickle his ears. We started to teach the doctrine to our children that tickled his ears, that tasted like honey on his tongue, wherein we end up playing the harlot and being debased under his laws that he is then allowed to impose upon us, because we're no longer doing our role, which is to teach the children the right way. And so that's why we are to bring forth our firstborn children. It speaks of daughter Zion going out into the fields, and there she will birth her firstborn children. Well, her firstborn. And so the field, it looks like, has become desolate. And if you think of a lot of the allegories of Christ's back looking like a newly plowed ground, it's ready for new seed. So you're looking at a lot of allegories and a lot of different ways to look at things. So in the way wherein I walked have they privily laid a snare for me. I looked on my right hand and beheld, but there was no man that would know me. They did not want to know the righteous daughters. They did not want to covenant with her. They wanted to covenant with a harlot that could tickle his ears and telling the doctrine that he told her he liked and wanted preached. And they used violence to impose this false doctrine, this wine. We stagger about. We're staggering right now. The world is absolutely staggering. The Christians are staggering, looking for the truth. Why? Because truth has fallen. She was no longer permitted in the streets. They cast her out because they wanted a covenant with the harlot. That's your allegories all around. But there was no man that would know me. They did not want to know her truths. They did not want to receive her in their hearts. They wanted to hide the harlot there and pretend that they were righteous, which is what man does right now. Refuge failed me. No man cared for my soul. They didn't care about the righteous woman. They wanted the harlot that would tickle his ears with his man-made doctrines. That's what they wanted. And they made us his harlot. That's what they did. I cried unto thee, O Lord. I said, thou art my refuge and my portion in the land of the living. So here, though it's David, you have to understand this is the descendant daughter of David speaking here, which is the Spirit. Daughter Zion speaking here, who says, I live forever. So she comes out at the end of days as this daughter, and she says, thou art my refuge, my portion in the land of the living. So she says, my portion from above is Mother Jerusalem that indwells me on this earth, that gives life to all things. That's actually what that's saying, which then also takes you to the verse that you find in Job. So let's go to Job. Job 31, and we'll read verses 1 and 2. We've done this before, but we'll do it again. I made a covenant with mine eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid? But he did. He thought upon a harlot that he wanted a covenant with. For what portion of God is there from above? It's the daughter Zion. It's the righteous spirit given in covenant. These daughters were filled with the righteous spirit that were then given in covenant to teach man the laws of heaven, that would give him eternal life, and he rejected a covenant with her. That's what this tells you. For what portion of God is there from above? And what inheritance of the Almighty from on high? Its mother indwelling her daughters. All right? And we are her portion. Excuse me. Verse 5, we'll reread it, of Psalm 142. I cried unto thee, O Lord. I said, thou art my refuge and my portion in the land of the living. Verse 6, attend unto my cry, for I am brought very low. We are. The daughters are brought very low under man-made theology and doctrine. All right? Because we are not teaching our vineyard what we are supposed to be teaching them. We're teaching his vineyard, what he told us he wanted taught to them. All right? His man-made theology, wherein he exalts the harlot. He's made us his harlot. We're teaching his lies that tickles his ears and makes him feel like a god. That's what we're doing. Instead of taking care of our own vineyard, wherein eternal life is found. All right? Deliver me from persecutors, for they are stronger than I. That's your violent men looking to suppress us. Keep us under him, under his laws, under his man-made laws. Bring my soul out of prison, that I may praise thy name. The righteous shall compass me about. for thou shalt deal bountifully with me. So there, you have a whole chapter, 142. There's lots of them once you get looking. All right, so I read that, and that was in connection to Isaiah 49, verse 7, okay? And so this is when she who has never travailed, this is where I left off, which you get the allusion to this in Song of Songs 1:6, goes forth and brings her firstborn into existence. All right? And Isaiah 27 says Israel will fill the world with fruit. And it also says her light shines in a dark place, even the place of the dead. She even resurrects the dead when she's teaching the truth. And she resurrects the dead in Isaiah 26. Because it says her light shines even in dark places. She resurrects the dead. And then it says in Isaiah 58, verse 8, and this is a good chapter to read. It says, then will your light break forth like the dawn. It's a new day dawning because the truth, the fountain, is unsealed. All right? That's going to rebirth the body. All right? Out of this desolate ground that this law from fallen Adam and the harlot and his Old Testament law, Christ corrected that in his actions. Everything he did, he corrected the law and put in play the truth of heaven. Just pay attention to his actions. And so that's what you're looking at. You're looking at that desolate land as a representation of the dead Adam. And that desolate land, after these man-made laws, makes the land desolate through its wickedness, through its war, through its hatred, all right, through its self-gaining that they want to gain out of it or think they're going to gain out of it, but they're really not. They end up making the land desolate and dead. And she is what goes forth and brings life to it again through truth. And you get all of that allegory all through the Old Testament once you understand this theology. Isaiah 54:1, what does it say? And this is about desolate. This is her bringing forth her children, reborn children, from a desolate land. Sing, barren woman. So sing a song only they can sing. And when it says they, it means women, the daughters of Zion. Only they can sing this. Only they, because they alone birth. No man can sing this. That's why it says only they can sing it. In Revelations 14. Let's go there. And we'll read it. Revelations 14. Excuse me. Verse 3. And they sung, as it were, a new song. That new song is the song that brings about the resurrection of the body. They sung a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders, and no man can learn this song. Only the daughters can learn this song. Only the women who resurrects the new Adam can learn this song. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. They're redeemed because they are the preserved ones. They never departed. That's why they're cast out into the fields of the Gentiles. The Azazel goat there is what you're getting your allegory to. The she-goat who is cast out into the lands of the Gentiles to bear the sins of Israel. So they bear the sins for what the harlot did, which is daughter Babylon, which is what Israel actually came to exalt in their hearts, is what we're told. And they cast out the righteous spirit. They did not want a covenant with her. All right, that's an allegory. So they sing only a song that they can sing. You who never travailed with child, because more are the children of the desolate woman. She's desolate now, right? She has no children. So she's desolate because the land has become desolate under man-made law and the harlot law. So it says, because more are the children of the desolate woman than of her, that's the harlot, who has a husband. And her husband is Baal, B-A-A-L. That's another name for your husband who wants to be your Lord and Master, who made himself a God in the earth. All right? Who has a husband, says the Lord. Enlarge the place of your tent and let the curtains of your habitation be stretched out. Do not hold back. Lengthen your cords and strengthen your stakes. We're getting the allegory. Now we're going out into the heavens here. That's what this is an allegory to. Now, because she is starting to birth her children, she is teaching them the truth of heaven. She is now permitted back into them. And she begins to enlarge her dwelling place. She now inhabits the heavens with her children. That's your allegory too. And I don't know if I wrote it down. We'll get there in a minute. So this connects us to Isaiah 54:2, which is Isaiah 40:22. Okay, yeah. Okay, so Isaiah 40 verse 2 says, God sits above the circle of the earth. The people below seems like grasshoppers to her. She spreads out the heavens like a curtain. Now remember, Eve was breathed into the man to form him, to create him. All right? So we're looking at clay as the male, as the tabernacle, being prepared for the glory to inhabit. All right? And this is your allegory to the heavens, and why it's often male, described as male. Because the heavens is the body that the glory created for herself to dwell in. The Spirit created for herself to dwell in. So Eve was breathed into Adam to form him, to shape him. And then she was removed. He was supposed to receive the remnant of her spirit, and she received a portion of his body. This is the cutting of the covenant. But he rejected the righteous spirit as the keeper of the body and chose the harlot, because wherein he gets to keep himself, which is the abomination that maketh desolate, because of the laws that he comes to govern the lands with. All right? Are we hitting at that? She spreads out the heavens like a curtain and makes her tent from them, her tabernacle from them. So you get that allegory in verse 2 of Isaiah 54:2. Enlarge the place of your tent, and let the curtains of your habitations be stretched out. So you see now is the reconstruction of the new heaven going on. She's actually starting to inhabit the heavens. She has stretched out her place to dwell now, because she is permitted in the new heavens, because she is teaching them the truth of heaven. She's actually shaping it, is what she's doing. So her tent from them. So her body, she is the glory that shapes the body. Like Eve was breathed into the man to shape him, the spirit. And this then links us to a verse that we find in Job 38:10 that I could not understand, but now I do understand it. It says, when I fixed its boundaries and set in place its bars and doors, verse 11, and declared, you may come this far, but no farther. Here your proud waves must be stopped. She's talking about the harlot. She is not allowed to make any more inroads than what the Lord has permitted. She's already placed the bars and the doors of how far that harlot can come, of how far fallen Adam can come. She has stopped it. She says, you'll come no further than this. You'll come no further. Right? Your proud waves will be stopped. So that's another allegory that was so interesting to make, because I often wondered about that verse. But the harlot spirit, who's Lucifer, says, I will, in Isaiah 14, right? I will. I'll exalt my kingdom in the north of the congregation, which is where we're told God's congregation, her children, her portion dwelt. That's what we're told. Isaiah 54, verse 3. For thou shalt spread forth, break forth on the right hand and on the left, and thy seed shall inherit the Gentiles, the nations, and you will resettle the desolate cities. So, you know, I don't like to talk about it too much, but in my dreams I have seen cities that are desolate. And I have seen us in battle Me as a woman, I have seen myself in battle. And you know, there's a passage in Psalm, and I can't remember right off where it is, where it says the hand of the Lord went in and took the land of Israel for the children of Israel. The hand of the Lord went in before them, before they ever got there, and took that land back. All right? So I'm starting to see that in my dream, that realization in my dream. All right? How they're reclaiming the body, they're rebirthing it. All right? They're getting it prepared for the truth. All right? For the birthing process. All right? Which is what that's all a part of. Isaiah 29:20. This is one I like. For the ruthless, because Israel will no longer be ashamed, all right, for teaching his vineyard what he wanted her to teach, all right, she's no longer going to be ashamed because she is going to start to birth her children. She's going to teach them the truth, the law of heaven. It looks like it's going to take place very quickly, very fast, like lightning is your time frame. That's why you see them going forth like lightning from mother's throne. Isaiah 29 verse 20, for the ruthless will vanish, the mockers will disappear, and all who look for evil will be cut down. They'll be cut off of the land. And according to what I'm beginning to understand, she cuts those off under the law that makes desolate, the abomination that maketh desolate, which is fallen Adam with the harlot and the law on their lips. That causes the land to be desolate, that causes war, causes hatred, causes subjugation and oppression of these righteous daughters who must rise up. All right, those who with a word, all right, that's false theology, makes the, I'm translating this differently, by the way, makes the woman, which is the righteous spirit, out to be guilty. So they make it out that she's playing the harlot, that she's never taught her children truth, what she needed to teach them, though the Bible clearly indicates that she always did teach them the truth. They just did not want to hear it. They rejected her. All right? Who ensnares the defender in court and with false testimony. So they're lying. They deprive the innocent of justice. This is where we call Moses and Elijah to the stand, because they testify on her behalf that she gave them nothing but the truth of heaven. That's why they're called. Therefore, the Lord who redeemed Sarah, not Abraham, it says, Eve also, says of the house of Israel, not Jacob, woman seed. That's who Israel represents, the woman seed, not the man seed. All right? Remember, we have a vineyard that we haven't taught. That's our children, our seed. We've taught his seed, and it's his seed because we've taught his doctrine to him. That's why they're his seed and the harlot's seed. All right? So, says of the house of Israel, not Jacob, no longer will Israel, the daughters, be ashamed, and no more will her face grow pale. They all the time accuse us, and no longer will our face become pale when they accuse the woman of the downfall of everything. Isaiah 29:23, for when she, not he, when she sees her children, and they are her children, her vineyard given back to her, in Hosea chapter 2, the work of my hands among her, that's Mother Jerusalem from above, who then inhabits the 144,000 daughters of Zion, who is her portion from above, given in covenant. Go read Isaiah 58, or is it 49? My hands among her, they will honor my name. They will sanctify the Holy One, that's daughter Jerusalem, daughter Zion, Mother Jerusalem, of Israel, and they will stand in awe of the God of Israel, who is daughter Zion. All right? And what does Isaiah 29:24 says? They also that erred in spirit shall come to understand, and they that murmured shall learn doctrine. And it's all over the place. All right? So let's go through. I got it here. I had it here. I don't have it anymore. Isaiah 49. All right? And see what she says. She says, verse 14. It says, but Zion said, the Lord hath forsaken me, and the Lord hath forgotten me. The Lord here is 136. All right? Which is what those daughters were known of in the beginning, they were known as Zion, the daughters of Zion. And they were inhabited by the mother spirit known as Mother Jerusalem from above. They were her portion, all right? And so when these daughters lost that spirit connection, all right, that my Lord became 136 here, has forgotten me. I don't know if I'm explaining that well. And then it says, can a woman forget her sucking child, that she should not have compassion on the son? This is clearly a daughter, because drop down. It says in verse 18, lift up thine eyes round about, and behold, all these gather themselves together and come to thee. As I live, saith the Lord, thou shalt surely clothe thee with them as with an ornament, and bind them on thee as a bride doeth. And we're talking about a son up here? I don't think so. We're talking about the daughter Zion being restored back to her rightful place as the portion of Mother Jerusalem and the spirit that indwelt these daughters in a powerful way. Only they can rebirth the nations. Only they can do that. So she should not have compassion on the daughter of her womb. Yeah, they may forget you. Oh, and they do. They write laws to make sure they forget all about the daughters of Zion and the righteous spirit, because they hide the harlot spirit in their hearts. That's told us in Isaiah 47. She says, no one sees me. Ooh, I'm well protected. And they certainly do protect the harlot spirit, because she tells him the doctrines he wants to hear and tickles his ears. You're playing the harlot if you continue on down this crooked path that they laid out for you. And that's the snare that they laid. They took you down a crooked path. They intercepted you on your straight path. But it says they're going to fall into their own snare. And they have. Nobody wants to hear this truth. They have fell into their own snares, their own lies. And I'm just surprised the daughters has taken so long to wake up to the deeper truths. Yea, they may forget you, yet I won't forget you. Behold, I have graven thee upon the palms of my hands. Thy walls are continually before me. She has suffered for us. Mother has suffered for us. She has writhed in pain. All right? And you can say the son here, he has, but it was the mother that was behind him. All right? Thy children shall make haste. Thy destroyers and they that made thee waste shall go forth of thee. Lift up thine eyes round about, and behold, all these gather themselves together, the gathering spirit, and come to thee. As I live, saith the Lord, thou shalt surely clothe thee with them as with an ornament, and bind them on thee as a bride doeth. All right? For thy waste and thy desolate places, and the land of thy destruction shall even now be too narrow by reason of the inhabitants, and they that swallowed thee up shall be far away. So I look at this almost, and you can call me crazy for it, that earth representing Israel at one time, that's what we were called according to Isaiah 27. We fill the world with our children, the righteous spirit does, and she's called Israel. Earth is known as Israel. Right now, we're called Babylon, because the harlot is ruling our children. They're exalting man-made theology. That wine, let me see, where was that? That he puts to his neighbor's, no, to his sister's lips. That's found in Isaiah 29. Let me see here, if I can find it. All right, and it may be 28. Yeah, I'm thinking it's 29. Okay, let's go here and look. No. Okay, I'm gonna find it because I've got it posted under my last video. Okay, let me look it up right quick here. Actually, I have it look down here. So just give me 1 second. Okay, sorry. Where is it? Back here. Okay, I think I'm too far. Okay. So it's in the passage, it's in Isaiah, where they have put the wine to their neighbor's lips, it says, to expose her nakedness. And I took that, this is my personal interpretation, to mean that they have made her their harlot. All right? And that's what we are told. It's backed up in the passage with the Shulamite, or the Shulamite in Song of Songs 1:6. Oh, see? It should be easier than this. There it is. Okay. We'll find it now. Okay, it was Habakkuk. Yeah, we did a study on this. This is how bad my memory is. Yeah, Habakkuk 2:15. So let's go there. So we can read that passage, so we can understand more clearly what we're actually looking at, which is how they got the righteous spirit over time after they worked violently against her to suppress her. And this was a slow removal of the truth. You get your allegory to the foxes that are burrowers that slowly remove precept by precept to cause us all to fall back. We're actually staggering because we're no longer having the truth. And it's likened to wine that he put to our lips to make us drunk so they could expose our shame. All right? That means to make us their harlots. So we're teaching their lies to our children. All right? And that just leads to death. A continuation of death. A continuation of anger by God Almighty on high, Mother, wherein we're rejecting her truths. We're not teaching our children the truths we were always meant to teach them. We forgot. All right? So, but what does it say here? Verse 15. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor? No, gives his sister strong drink, that putteth thy bottle to her, and maketh her drunken. Right? You'll find your allegory in Isaiah 29. They're drunk, but not with strong wine. They're drunk on false doctrine. They're staggering. We're dying because of the lies of this doctrine that does not teach us truth, that does not lead us on the straight path, that putteth the bottle to her, and maketh her drunken also, that thou mayest look on her nakedness. All right? So over time, they made her their harlot. We teach this theology that those wicked men shaped. And that was that covenant with the harlot spirit that allows him to write the laws in any manner that he sees fit to write them. All right? And that is the desolation that's coming on this land. That's the abomination that's going to make this land desolate. It's going to take a lot of life away. But it says, then we're going to repossess these cities that were made desolate by the abomination, which was the false covenant, all right, between fallen Adam and the harlot, wherein he wrote laws that led to hate and war and all these horrible things that we see coming head to head. It's going to lead to an emptying out of the cities, to a lot of death on the land, wherein she actually goes forth with her children. It appears to happen in lightning quickness. And I take that now to mean the time frame is very short that this plays out in. I used to think it was very long. Now the 1,000-year millennial reign is that time stretched out a bit more, where the daughters are actually settling the land of desolation and restoring the law back to its proper place. And all of those things are incorporated in that millennial reign. But the lightning that goes forth is these daughters who suddenly come into existence after the desolation, and they go forth with the law of truth. And nobody's going to see this, apparently, until the desolation happens, is almost some of the understanding I'm getting from it. But it says, thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. So that's the turning, right? We told you what to be circumcised meant. When God told Abraham that part of his covenant with her was that he would agree to circumcision, it was agreement to get rid of that foreskin, which represented the covenant with the harlot. That's what that represented. All right? That he would not long for a covenant with the harlot, which is exactly what he did when he went out and got Hagar. All right? And so now it puts, what does it say? I'll cause enmity between the woman's seed and Lucifer's seed. That's the harlot's seed. There's your adversary coming head to head. All right? And so you have fallen Adam again against Christ's spirit. That's what you have in allegory. And so he put the wine, the strong drink, to her lips, made her drunk on it so he could expose her shame, make her a harlot. And then what do you find in Micah? Okay, and we're going to have to wrap this up. What does it say in the book of Micah? All right, and I started to say that I see this in a very large context. The citizens of the kingdom are going by earth, and they're looking at it and going, look at that harlot. She just loves to play the harlot. Look at her, right? And watch what it says here. If I can find it. I'll get there. Okay. It says this in Micah 4. What does it say? And we're going to view the nations as what God calls islands, gardens, possibly planets. Now also many nations are gathered against thee. They say, let her be defiled, and let her eyes look upon Zion. Right? That's the allegory. They're saying, oh, she likes being the harlot. Let's look upon her, you know, so that she'll be defiled. Right? And you get this in Micah 4, verse 11. But what does it say in verse 12? But they know not the thoughts of the Lord, neither understand they her counsel. For she shall gather them as the sheaves into the floor. So you're almost looking at wicked spirits that inhabits many of the citizens of earth today. But we have the righteous spirit. And what does it say in verse 13? Arise and thresh, O daughter of Zion, for I will make thine horn iron, and I will make thy hooves brass, and thou shalt beat in pieces many people, and I will consecrate their gain unto the Lord, and their substance unto the Lord of the whole earth. Because men will go forth and delve out the substance that is brought forth out of this desolation and this rebirthing process. But their gain is consecrated unto the Lord. That's daughter Zion manifested. That's the mother spirit manifested in these daughters of Zion, and their substance unto the Lord. That's 113 of the whole earth. So their job is actually to go out to the people and to give what is needed. All right? And that's the law of heaven. Christ showed you that. He walked it in everything that he did. And so I'm going to cut that off there. I don't know that I explained myself very well. But daughter Zion is your strong tower. Micah 4 verse 8, it says, and thou, O tower of the flock, that's daughter Zion, the stronghold of the daughter Zion, unto thee shall it come, even the first dominion. She is the queen of the kingdom. The kingdom shall come to the daughter of Jerusalem. Mother gets her portion back. All right? we turned our back on Mother, on her righteous spirit, on her righteous covenant. She gave her daughters in covenant to the sons. We're shown clearly that they did not want a covenant with these righteous daughters. They chose one with the harlot, wherein that harlot tickles his ears. And he chose it because he created it that way. He wanted it that way for him. So though you have the illusion of a harlot approaching him, you have him then making her a harlot. All right? And he puts that false doctrine and causes her to drink and gets her drunk so that she's staggering about in the streets and she no longer knows the truth, wherein she can deliver her children. And that's your allegory to the whole thing. That's your picture. All right? So if you can just get a small little picture of that and then go in and look at the Bible and certain verses and passages, then you begin to understand it a lot more clearly, because there's so many verses there that backs that up. So I think that will be enough for today. I know I wasn't very clear in the beginning. Sorry about that. I thank all for watching my video, for subscribing, for handing it off. And I hope the Lord blesses you in all that you're pursuing, your own personal endeavors, because we're all a part of this. And at least all of us who loves to study the truth in the Word and loves to pursue the way of our King Christ, Lord Jesus, and His Spirit, daughter Zion, who is the Queen of the Dominion. So thanks again, and I hope you all have a really nice day.